How's everybody doing? Thanks for tuning in to Wicked Warnings. Coming at you here, being your number one source for construction and emergency LED strobe lighting and safety equipment, kind of like what you're looking at on this brand new 2021 Dodge Ram 5500 cabin chassis. That's right, 5500. All you 25 and 3500 just run away, tail between your legs with the big 5500. All right. I'm going to link here to a few other videos for this particular company that we've done before in green and white. We do this for the branding of this particular individual. It's a construction company. It does a little bit of snow removal here and there, and their branding on their business is green. So we went with the green and white customer request. We worked real close with them on this particular truck to give them this package. This particular Ram, of course, does have the active shutters in the grille. So we were going to stay out of that at the moment. We went with our LIN-6. We mounted that directly above the tow hook. There is enough room there to easily still get a shackle or a strap around that tow hook without really affecting the light. So I think that's a real good spot. We also added a little bit of side warning with our low dome HAW duo. HAW stands for hideaway. That little light that's in the fog bezel. Normally we use that to drill into a factory housing. It's a little 1-inch round light, very similar to like the old school strobes back in the day. But you can also back mount it like we have, where you have a particularly small location or a location that has a lot of curvature and you can't really put a flat light and get a mount. So that's what we did there in the fog bezel. There's only one spot there that doesn't have very much curve, and we were able to we drilled a 1-inch hole and glued the light in with RTV silicone sealant from the back. And that gives you a nice clean projection of light. You can see it does reflect a little bit forward, but the primary focus for that fog light is the side warning, which you can see bouncing right off the wall there. Okay. I'm going to pan out a little bit, show you the side warning that I was talking about on this particular truck. Now, we did synchronize those LIN-6 in the lower bumper there. They're synchronized on a double flash with a slight hang. I don't know the exact number of that pattern, but it's very easy to find. Flashes twice and kind of hangs on for a split second. I did that to give a little bit longer presentation of the color. Wanted this particular truck to really show its color, and there's a lot of action around the back of this truck where people will be outside working a lot. So I didn't want these patterns to be real offensive. The fog lights are a little bit fast because they're all by themselves and they're not real bad or in the area of work too much. On the side here, we're also featuring our Thin X LED. That's a green and white alternating. We've synchronized 6 of those. You can see 2 on this side. There'll be a matching 2 on the other side, as well as 2 more facing the back. We synchronized all 6 of the rear Thin X LED to do a very similar pattern as the front LIN-6s. Now, we can't synchronize a Thin X with a LIN-6. They're cousins, so they don't speak the same language. But we were able to synchronize all of the LIN-6s around the back together, so we get that punch of color around the back of the truck where all the lights go at the same time, both colors. Again, we went with kind of a slower alternate pattern on the back because, as you can see, this particular flatbed has one of these universal beds on it where it not only can take a dumpster container, it can take a flatbed container, it can take a couple of other different beds that all load up onto that frame. So it's a very versatile tool, and we have definitely a lot of different utility features in the back of this truck, so there'll be guys walking around the back doing work pretty much all the time. Now, here's your direct side shot. You can see how well those fog lights work for showing you the front of the vehicle if you were approaching this vehicle from the side. And you can see that Thin X on the last toolbox. Now, we center mounted that customer request. We also center mounted the middle toolbox Thin X for customer request. And as I said, synchronize the color. This gives you a very good, clear picture of how wide this truck is, especially in a low light situation, whether it be foggy during the day or dark in the morning or evening, any kind of situation where you're not getting a clear picture of the size of this vehicle. Hopefully, when the lights are on, it won't be an issue. Now, one of my favorite modifications we did are the toolbox lights. We used our rectangular task light and we put one on inside each of these large toolboxes. We also put a pin switch on there so it automatically turns on when you open the door. So this is fused at the battery and pin switch activated. So really no fuss, no muss. You just open the door and the light turns on. As you can see right there, that's our rectangular task light. Puts out an awful lot of light. Here I turned off the shop lights and I can pan out a little bit and show you just how much light that rectangular task is actually throwing down onto the floor. And not only did we put the task light in the toolbox, we also put one of our other auxiliary switches on, steady burn white, for all of the Thin-X. So if you wanted just a little bit extra light here around the back of the truck, you can steady burn those white Thin-X on a separate circuit, or you can have them in warning. Well, here's a close-up of the light. It's a little bit hard to see when it's on, so I'll reach up and go ahead and push in that pin switch, try to turn on my flash, and of course it doesn't show you anything. I'm sorry about that. I'll show you a better picture here. Well, there's a little better picture. Turn the shop lights back on so you can see. We mounted that task light. It has a slight angle to it. We put that angle facing outward. And as you can see, it's set up right there with my pin switch on the door. As I push in, the light will go off automatically. As we open up the door, the light will go on automatically. If you didn't want a pin switch, you could easily mount one of our waterproof on-off switches as well. So directly your choice, whether you have a pin switch automatically or a waterproof push button on-off switch. As you can see down there, there's our Thin-X light. Let me show you around the back of this truck. Alrighty, so around the back, we've got a couple of things going on. First and foremost, we've got our Thin-X. That's a green and white Thin-X mounted low and outward on the box. That's the warning for the rear of the truck, considering everything else above that is going to be dumpster or flatbed or who knows whatever else is on the back of this truck. We've also got two different sets of work lights on the back of this truck. The first set being mounted down low, right underneath the factory taillights. And those right there, those are going to be our Diode Dynamics SS3 Sport Flood Pod. That's a pair sold on our website. Has a flood pattern, and it is the sport version. Now, we could special order the Pro if you wanted an insane amount of light, but the sport version that we stock is very well and very bright, and it works very well. So if you wanted an insane amount, hit us up via email. We'll special order the Pro, but as you can see, the Sport is definitely powerful. And again, that's the flood pattern on those lights, Diode Dynamics SS3, and all around real quality, real workhorse of a pod light. And that's going to take care of all the lighting behind that rear bumper, behind the hitch, give him everything he needs. Now, to satisfy the lighting needs above the hitch and in front of the hitch, we went with another pair of our rectangular task LED lights. Now, these are all LED. They're made by Technic. They're a real kick-ass light. We use them on trailers quite often. We use them inside toolboxes. We've used them inside vans. I'll put a link here to a couple of videos we did with this particular task light inside small vans. And as you can see here, they are exterior rated. So we mounted two of them right on the back of this large toolbox. Now that large toolbox has two doors, by the way, and each door has its own compartment with its light with the pin switch, like I showed you earlier. There's two lights inside that, one on each side, and each door has its own switch. But around the back, that particular set of lights is switched by the auxiliary, and that's going to flood light all over the whole bed of the truck. The reason we went with those was the ability to flood that light. We didn't need any specific light when we're loading a dumpster or a flatbed or whatever we're loading on the back of this particular rig. They wanted a more broad flood light, and that's exactly what that rectangular task light does. So with one on each side, the controls, the winch, the track, the loading, all of that is fully illuminated. So if they happen to do any low light situations where they're loading or unloading, they're totally taken care of. You can see here also, we put a reverse camera on this particular vehicle. This camera was brought in to us. It's supposedly a plug-and-play camera plugged into the factory harness, but we will not know for certain if that is workable until this vehicle goes to the dealer. Again, customer-supplied camera. I didn't have anything to do with it, so I don't know much about it other than we installed it for the customer, and they're going to go to the dealer and be able to turn it on. Here you can see where we've mounted our SS3 right here to there. And what I'm going to do now at this point is I'm going to show you a little bit of the wiring, just kind of take you on a little journey and show you a little bit of the wiring and how we did it, just, you know, to show off the work. And obviously these trucks are all kind of custom built. I don't suspect anybody out there has the same truck. I mean, if you do, send in some pictures because that would be crazy. If you've got the exact same Dodge like this, hit us up, because I bet the owner of this one would definitely like to see a twin, because I believe this is a one-off custom-made vehicle. But absolutely, hit us up if you have something just like this. So, pardon the shaky camera right now, but if you want to go on a little journey, I could show you some of the wiring. The wiring for these is a Deutsch connector plug, goes around the back here. You can kind of see around back here, underneath here, where we permeated the toolbox right there. That's where we got our wiring into the toolbox. I'll try to focus up for you if I can. Oh, focus is fighting me. But that's where we got the wiring into the toolbox. Let me see if I can fix this focus. Hang on, guys. There. Everything into the toolbox has been grommeted, and it's all nice and sealed up and Tessa tape wrapped underneath there. And then what that does is as we come around here, you can see in here, that's where we permeated the box right there. We put a grommet in it, and we came through here. We ran our nylon split loom through here. We permeated the back of the box right there for that Thinx. Came around this way, tucked the wiring in, and permeated here for this one. That way we keep all this wiring off to the side, off to the corner, protected by split loom. Hopefully, the hope is damage-free. So that's how we ran the wiring inside these boxes. To get those lights down there. These lights were real easy just to mount right there. Sorry about the flashing in your face, but you get the idea on what we're doing right there. Alrighty, bear with me here. We're inside the toolbox on the driver's side. You can see there's a bulkhead right here that we had to go through, and then we take our wiring right down here. We follow it along. It comes along back here. Here's your pin switch, goes down along the whole back side of the door down here, and goes down along the bottom. We go underneath this track right here, and then we actually come up and we end up going back out this toolbox here to the front auxiliary switches. So you can see everything split loom, tied off, grommeted wherever it passes through metal, all the good stuff. And then up here, this is where we have our light mounted. It's kind of hard to see it, I guess. Let's see if I can, no, that's not really gonna do you much good. Okay, so that's how that's mounted in there anyways. Sorry about the poor quality. I'm just holding the camera. I admit this is not one of my best videos. As I said, everything's controlled right here off of the factory auxiliary switches, which are dashboard programmable to do just about anything you want. So in these new Dodge Rams, be sure to take advantage of these auxiliary switches if you have them. Alrighty, around the front in the fog bezel here, you can see exactly what I was talking about with back mounting that 1-inch hideaway. Right there in the corner of the bezel was the best spot that we found to do it. That is kind of a weird light shadow here on the trim, but that's exactly how we did it. And then right here, we have our Lin 6 mounted right above the tow hook. You could mount a Thinx there. You could have mounted a variety of other lights there. We did some Lin 6s on the other builds that I referenced earlier, so this particular client likes that light, so that's what we used right there. So this is a fairly easy mount to do these two lights on the front of a Dodge. And I suppose you could even do them on a 2500 if you wanted. If you didn't have the big bad 5500, I suppose you might be able to get away with these on a smaller truck too. So that's the video. If you like what you saw, drop a comment, let me know. Hopefully you have a Ram just like this, and hopefully this video was helpful. We'll put links to all of these products, which are available right on wickedwarnings.com. With bulk wire, we're going to link as well. Now, this is a particularly custom truck, so I'm going to link you to the lights, and I'm going to link you to the bulk wire. And it's up to you to put it together. This is not a plug-and-play kit. This is not a completely tailored package you're going to get a link to. This is a assembly-required parts collection. We're going to link you to the lights. We're going to link you to the parts and the wire, and it is up to you to assemble it. Just to be clear on that. So check the description for links to all these products. Thanks again for watching Wicked Warnings. We're #1 source for construction and emergency safety and strobe lighting equipment for cars, vans, buses, trucks, bicycles, tricycles, and big old Dodge Ram 5500s. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks again for watching.